It's a challenging market out there, competitive, volatile, and demanding. But with the right combination of products, customers, and marketing strategies, it can also be very rewarding. These days, simply growing a quality product is no longer enough to achieve financial success in agriculture. Now, more than ever before, effective marketing is also essential to economic well-being. This video explores some of the markets that farmers are using to enhance their income and improve the sustainability of their farms. Each market presents different obstacles and opportunities, so farmers should carefully consider what type of market best fits their situation.
I'm Karen Manix. This is Jack Manix. We're here at Walker Farm in Dummerston, Vermont.
We have a diversified operation. It's two parts, horticulture and vegetable. We farm about 30 acres organically, and we have 14 greenhouses. And pretty much been emphasizing the flowers over the last 4 to 5 years because they seem to be subsidizing the rest of the operation.
25 years ago this summer, we came here to visit Jack's grandfather and helped him with the chores and really liked it and felt like where we needed to be. So he taught us about farming, and we tried milking cows, raising pigs, chickens, making apple cider, on and on. We found a couple things that work real well for us. It's growing vegetables and growing flowers. And we also live right on a state highway, which has problems, but it also is a great location. Since we have a farm stand right on Route 5, we don't wholesale. We just retail right here, and that seems to be working out.
Well, we were very lucky when we started off in this business to get hooked up with some very good caterers and restaurant owners who helped us develop our marketing strategy. They taught us that people eat with their eyes, and we learned to display with color and presentation. And the same thing carried over into the horticulture, where we got hooked up with some upper-end gardeners and landscape designers, and we did the same thing there. One of the things we wanted to do was to develop an upscale market where people really appreciated fine flowers and good food and would be willing to pay for that freshness. So we really don't compete with supermarkets because there's no way that they can match what we offer every day. And so we developed a marketing strategy with our horticultural and caterer friends. They taught us what people wanted or what people would want in the future because they were privy to interesting things coming down the pike. And so working in cooperation with them, we came up with products that really challenged our clientele. In order to keep our upscale customers and to keep them happy, we send out catalogs of our flower material in the early spring, late winter, and they're able to pre-order for a fee, and we gather up stuff for them, and it's all ready when they come, and they can just put it in their car and go. We also have developed a website where people can log on and download our catalogs.
I think the single most important thing for marketing is to have people working in your stand that understand that making eye contact with your customers, being friendly, making a little chat, giving them respect to the customer is your best marketing tool. For someone to come in and feel like, okay, here's a person that we like, it makes all the difference.
We also pay our stand people more than our field workers because we feel that the marketing is where we need to put our emphasis the most. And it's just about anybody can grow a good tasting tomato, but it takes an expert to sell a good one, especially during tomato season.
What seems to work for our farm stand is to have lots of please and thank yous. All of our employees are encouraged to do a lot of that, and to keep everything as spotless as possible. Cleanliness is a really nice attribute concerning food, and quality control. Everyone's encouraged if they see something on display that doesn't look up to our standards, throw it out.
One of the things we wanted to do was to connect the people that shop here with our farm. So we developed this program we called the wraparound, which means instead of having people just stop, go into the front of the stand and get back in their car and go, we widened our display area with gardens and greenhouses and other attractions to bring them around behind the farm and into the fields so they could connect with the cows and the vegetables and the flowers and really feel like Walker Farm was a part of their life. It's really important to keep in touch with what your customer needs, and we have done surveys that where we ask them questions about what they'd like to see here, how we can improve, and we usually give them like a free tomato plant or a free flower for filling out the survey. One of the ways that we can keep improving our business is during the off-season, going to seminars and educational meetings and doing a lot of reading. And during the season, we take time off to visit other farm stands and do a little corporate espionage and stealing their best ideas and using them here, because everything that we do here, we've learned from other people. The main thing is to have fun with your employees and with your customers, and your marketing will just take off from there. But the message that should be given out to all people is that there's a lot of money in this business, and there's wide open opportunities in agriculture. And even though you hear a lot of doom and gloom stories, especially unfortunately from the dairy section, this is a great field of opportunity.
Hi, I'm Paul Arnold. This is my wife Sandy. We farm in Argyle, New York, northeast of Albany. We have a 60-acre farm, 4 acres in vegetables, and 1 acre in large fruit and ½ acre in small fruit. We grow out 30 different kinds of vegetables, and we sell at area farmers markets. There's 4 of them altogether, and we make a living on this.
When we started out, we were in larger and smaller markets, and then after we were allowed into one of the larger markets, we found that we only needed to sell in 4 farmers markets a week, so we dropped the smaller markets because everything we produced could be sold, so the extra days were available for field time.
Since we only do farmers markets and spend very little time actually marketing, we have extra time to do the weeding and planting that we need to do to keep the farm as efficient as we can.
One way that we make a good living here on small acreage is we sell only high quality produce, and we get a good price for it at the farmers markets.
We bring very little seconds to the market. We just try to sell the premium stuff, and if we do sell seconds of anything, we do market as such. There's 2 things that farmers should really be paying attention to when they're growing, and one is to keep good records so that you know where you're coming from and know where you're going to. And the other thing that needs to be really emphasized is to be a better marketer than you are a grower. I think it's important with small growers to capture the retail dollar as much as they can.
Green beans. Can I have one of those and maybe one of the regular greens?
Regular green is this one. This is a green oak leaf.
Well, now we're in Saratoga at our farmers market. It's a Wednesday to 3 to 6, and it's quite a few. It's about 3:30 right now, and we're still going pretty strong with customers. The initial rush is over with, and we're keeping up with restocking and spraying vegetables to keep them fresh looking. And the tarp is keeping the hot sun off most of the greens, and that's really important to keep the quality, because when somebody comes at 5 o'clock or 5:30, stuff really still looks fresh, and that's really important to make those customers feel just as welcome as the ones at 3 o'clock. These people line up at 3 o'clock because they know we're going to take care of them. We've got 4 or 5 people here ready to service them rather than just one, because we know that when they get here they want to be serviced fast, and that's all part of giving good service, is being able to get their order and get on to the next person without them getting frustrated at taking too long.
Hi, how are you doing?
The head of red romaine, please.
We try to learn as many customers' names as we can because we have such regulars coming back each week that we make it a point to remember names. Displays on our table are, I think, really important to what we want to do, at the market. It really helps. We get a lot of customers that say that our displays are really nice. We try to make it really colorful. Our help on the table is presentable, and we like them to always give 110% to the customers. Customers are number one.
Some of the innovations that we've made at our stand to help us in marketing is to make our stand more visible by adding a red and white awning around the outside of it, so people coming down the market can always pick us out. We also have a logo and a centerpiece right in the middle so that people's focus is right on our logo and remember our name and our farm name. We also are always trialing new varieties, such as this year we have purple carrots and yellow carrots that we're playing with. We have blue potatoes. Other things that make our table interesting, and people are always wondering what we're going to have next. We sell beets in many different ways here. As you can see, we got beets here that without tops and beets with tops, and that's really important that we've get people what they want and give them a choice. We've spent a lot of years developing varieties that are finding varieties that are really good flavored and have really good presentation out here. Chard, this is green chard, and we've got multicolored chard and the red chard. We give all kinds of choices of every kind of variety. The same with lettuces. We have all kinds of the Bostons and green leaves and the red leaves and different kind of oak leaves and romaines. A couple different kinds of cucumbers and different onions that we sell, and different kinds of zucchini and 4 different kinds of potatoes and many different kinds of tomatoes because we do a lot of heirlooms. We find out if our customers are happy by listening to them at the table and actually asking them questions. Because we're right there at the farmer's market and our customers in front of us, we can just keep right on top of what their needs are, and if they're unhappy or anything is wrong, we can make it right there. But most of the times we're asking them, how do you like those red carrots you had last week, or how were the white ones, and how were the brandywine tomatoes that we grow. There's all kinds of ways that and also sales. Sales are going to tell you if something isn't selling and something is not moving on the table, that we know that there's something wrong with that product, and then we'll start quizzing our customers. One thing that we've done in the past 10 years of farming here and selling is to raise prices just little by little. And so what's happened in 10 years is most of the prices that we started out with have doubled.
Some people come to the market and complain about the prices that we have. For instance, our blueberries we sell in a half-pint basket for about the same price that some other growers may sell them in a pint basket, and we merely explain that we have a minimum value and we know what we need to get for that product in order to keep making a living at farming. Over the 10 years that we've been farming, we have increased our efficiency on production and also marketing, and we have a large customer base, which has been important because as we're raising 2 children, we find we need to spend less time in farming and have a little bit more time for family life.
My name is Michael Docter. This is Linda Hildebrand. We're at the Food Bank Farm here in Hadley, Massachusetts. This is a community-supported agriculture farm, a CSA, as we call them in the jargon. It's a 500-member CSA. That means we have 500 shareholders who purchase a share in the harvest every spring, and that entitles them to come by the farm on a weekly basis and pick up a steady supply of organic produce.
We're also a project of the food bank, and what that means is we donate half of what we produce here to agencies served by the food bank in Hatfield.
The farm is financially self-sustaining. While we are owned and operated by a nonprofit, the income we generate from our shares is sufficient to pay for the entire operation of the farm, our salaries, as well as the food that we donate and sell to our shareholders. So it is a financially sustaining entity without any government subsidy. We are bound by our mission to give away half of what we grow. So we have to be pretty efficient. And that's why we selected the CSA model, because we felt that it was actually a fairly lucrative way of farming. We cut out our transportation costs. Linda and I never leave the farm. We cut out our refrigeration, all of our packing costs. We cut out our money handling and accounting costs. We like to think of marketing as the easy part for our CSA. Selling the initial shares was not very difficult. We got our lists out, 5,000 person lists of people who donated money to the food bank, environmental organization lists. We put up brochures on bulletin boards in community places where people, had a positive association with that institution, the Y, the daycare that everybody loved, that kind of thing. And we came up with our members very quickly and easily for our first year. The problem is that keeping members is really the difficult thing, retaining members from one year to the next. Most of those initial members who joined for sort of political reasons because they wanted to help out the food bank or social concern reasons, they left pretty quick as soon as they realized they had to eat a lot of vegetables. The biggest limiting factor we found with our CSA and the CSA as a model is that people want choice. This is America, after all. If you go in there and tell them, as we did, during our first initial years, that thou shalt take a head of broccoli this week and thou shalt take a pound of carrots. It drove people nuts.
So what we did was we looked at the supermarket model and we figured out we needed to offer them more choice. So what we've done is we've taken those 80 varieties of vegetables and we put them on a table and we've said to people, you take what you need. We're able to control the volume by the size of the bag, but they're able to control what they need because they have a variety of vegetables that they can choose from. We offer 3 distribution days per week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And on a given day, we could have about 200 shareholders walking into the share room, and that's a lot of people to satisfy. Every vegetable has just a short window when it's at peak flavor. And our customers expect the freshest vegetables that we can grow. And in order to accomplish that, we plant successions. We're always planting things. For instance, lettuce and greens go in every single week, so every week we have a fresh supply. Carrots have a very short window when they're at peak flavor, and so every 2 weeks we've got carrots coming in. So we always have a plentiful supply of the staples that people expect. We always have corn, tomatoes, broccoli, those things we offer every single week. One thing we also try to do is we offer specials. Like every once in a while we'll bring in some fennel or we'll bring in some kohlrabi. People don't want those things every week necessarily, but it really keeps people's interest up and it gives us the chance to educate folks on some other types of vegetables that are out there.
One of the things that's efficient about our operation is that we get all of our cash up front. It saves us a little bit of money not having to go to the bank in interest, but that's not what's significant. What's important there is that we don't have to handle money all year long. We take it all in and we're done. And so there's not an elaborate accounting system involved. Now, at the same time, we realized that there are some things we really wanted to sell on the farm. We wanted to be able to buy in other local farmers' products. We wanted to be able to make value-added products. So what we did was we sell these script cards, which is our own little funny money system. They now come in $20 increments with $21 punches on them. We sell them to our members and they can use it in our store, essentially. We now have fresh baked organic bread for sale every week, local eggs, a variety of other products that they can sell, that we can sell to them, and it's very quick. We don't have to make change. It's all, and we also make a point of everything that we sell, we keep it in dollar increments so that it fits into our system very easily. Another advantage that we have because we're CSA is that we can get, from a marketing point of view, we can get instantaneous feedback from our customers. We pick something that morning, a new variety or a new type of display, and we will find out that afternoon whether they liked it or not. We can also do a great deal of focus grouping with our members, informally, formally, however we do it. Usually we're just sitting around in the distribution room, chewing the fat with our members and asking them what did they like, what didn't they like.
A favorite part of a lot of our shareholders' experience here is our U-Pick. And what we've done is we've taken some of the more labor-intensive vegetables and we put them into our U-Pick, and we call it They Pick. For instance, sugar snap peas, beans, strawberries, things that take a lot of work to pick. We have our customers pick it and they love it. One of the best things is people come here to the farm and we have a direct relationship with people. They like knowing who their farmers are, and they like the fact that they can call this farm their own. We tell people, treat the farm like your own. You know, they can come and they can pick vegetables. There's pets for them to visit, rabbits and chickens, and it's just a very comfortable place for people to be, and it's a good way for people to see how their food is grown, and it's a nice connection with the community for us.
Hi, I'm Jan Goranson, and this is my husband, Rob Johanson. We're at Goranson Farm in Dresden, Maine. It's in the mid-coast region of Maine. We are on a farm that I grew up on. About 35 years ago, my parents bought it and farmed primarily potatoes. In 1985, I started farming with my father, and since then, we've turned this farm into a diversified vegetable operation.
We have 36 total tillable acres, of which 8 acres is now in potatoes, 6 in sweet corn, and 10 in diversified small crops. We have 12 acres of that is in rotations with cover crops and green manures.
The markets that we currently have are farm stands and farmers markets. We go to 4 different farmers markets throughout the summer, and we have a few wholesale accounts. The farm stand brings in the bulk of our income, about 48%. The farmers markets bring in 36% of the farm income, and the balance 16% is wholesale.
One of the innovations that we've brought to the farm has been a community-supported agriculture program, which we started some 5 years ago now. We currently have 175 families in the summer program. Our community-supported agriculture program is set up a little different than the traditional one, in that people pay up front, but for paying up front they get a discount. So they can use that credit at the farm or at any of the locations off the farm where we're selling, which we've tried to make it as easy and as inclusive as possible to try to get as many people, you know, involved and interested in what we're doing. We also do a winter share program that is set up in a very traditional manner. They come once a month for a box of vegetables, storage vegetables.
The retention rate in our CSA has been high. We did make a change a year ago where if people had a credit left on their CSA account with the farm, we would roll it toward the next season. But what we changed was that they would have to use everything they paid for in the spring that year. And so people in October, November, get a postcard from the farm saying, you have this amount left on your account. If you don't use it by the end of December, then it will be gone. And so it encourages people to come in at the end of the year, buy that quart of maple syrup, or pick up some extra squash and potatoes for the winter.
The keys to our marketing success are quality, variety, and listening to our customers. They give us the feedback that's required to know what they want and how they want it, and we're very attuned to that. One of the things that we found that helps pull this all off is that we've divided the roles. Jan pretty much takes care of the marketing aspect of the farm, and I pretty much take care of the production end of it. Of course, we're always talking with each other about the whole, so there's a lot of cooperation and discussion that goes on between us.
Hi, my name is Rich Romer. We're here in Chester, Vermont, and I have a little company here. We call it Gourmet Greens. We grow soil-grown sprouts, about 800 pounds a week. We sell mostly to health food stores and food co-ops around the Northeast, but we do ship to anywhere in the country by UPS Next Day Air. We're a different animal than most sprout growers because everything we grow is grown on trays of soil. We fill the trays, basically cafeteria-sized trays. We also use some 10 by 20 flats. Fill them with soil, then we spread the soaked seed let them germinate for 2 or 3 days, then we separate them to the shelves under the grow lights. And most of our 4 products mature in 8 days. When they're ready for harvest, we bring them off the shelves to a harvest table. We cut them with a single-edged razor blade into tubs, bring the tubs to a bagging area, and we package them into 3-ounce bags and 1-pound bags. The 4 different things we grow are sunflower sprouts. That's what we grow the most of. Over half of what we grow is sunflower. And we also grow radish, snow pea greens, and fresh wheatgrass. We've always been located in a rural area where we didn't have a big market for our products locally. So we have to get them out to a much bigger geographical area. A few years ago, we developed a website. Someone here in town was building websites. We didn't even have a computer at that point, but he got something going. And the nice thing about marketing on a website is that the orders come in through email and you can deal with them at your convenience. You don't have to run and answer the phone and answer all their questions. Some of the website contacts do call you by phone, but most of them will deal with email. And they give us their credit card in their email and we send the order out. And it's a way to reach a much larger market. We've shipped things to Malaysia at this point, and we do get regular email inquiries from Britain and Africa, and different people are interested primarily in wheatgrass. They don't have too much interest in the other sprouts, but we want to sell more growing supplies and wheatgrass juicers because we can add those things without making a bigger building or getting more employees. And the best thing about having a website is that we have a storefront to the world right now. And it's a very limited product line, but there are enough people looking for what we have to offer. So we're going to be putting more and more energy into developing our website. With the website, we do have a storefront, but yet we don't have people actually coming to our door. We do spend a lot of time just trying to grow the sprouts and get them out. So when we actually have a live body come to our facility, it takes a lot of time to deal with them, and the return on what they might buy is not that great. One of the keys to our marketing success is that we do have a product that we can grow year-round. So it gives us a steady cash flow, and we can keep people employed on a longer basis. Growing a good quality product with a good shelf life is the most important thing to having a successful farm business. If you have all the media and promotion and the newspaper articles, it won't really help in the long run unless you have a good quality product.
Hi, I'm Norman Grieg. We're at the Grieg Farm in Red Hook, New York. We're located about 100 miles north of New York City in the Hudson Valley. The farm is 550 acres and it's a fruit and dairy farm. We've changed crops over the years, but it started just with apples, strawberries, and crops for the cows. And as we found that we wanted to go more retail, we've create a retail season, and so now we have asparagus, strawberries, and peas in June. July we go into blueberries and summer raspberries, and then fall raspberries starting in August with apples, blackberries, pumpkins, and then Christmas trees at the end of the season. I've always thought of the New York City market as our local market, and the way that people happen to come is that instead of advertising to the world, we target local newspapers. The Upper East Side in New York City has its own newspaper, and Greenwich Village has its own newspaper, and Brooklyn Heights has its own newspaper. So we target neighborhoods that we think that would have the disposable income to have automobiles to travel for a weekend or a day off, and we advertise classified ads in those local papers, because if you try to do radio or television for metropolitan New York City, it's prohibitively expensive. But if you can target those as your local market, it's possible. My family's been in the pick-your-own business since 1949. It started as a gleaning process after we've harvested for wholesale on a small acreage of strawberries In the 60s, we had a write-up in the New York Times, and we were picked out every day, and so we decided that should never happen again. We added another 15 acres of strawberries that next year, and now we need a write-up in the New York Times every year to pick the crop. But it's interesting how the market's changed over the years. In the 50s, everyone came in a station wagon with 4 or 5 children and mother and father, and they would wait all year for the 3 weeks that strawberries were ready and pick 100 pounds of strawberries per car and take them home and spend a day freezing and jamming. And that doesn't happen anymore. The market today, the public comes, a single-headed household, maybe with 1 child, or a young couple out for a day in the country, and they'll pick 8 or 10 pounds of berries and not know what they're going to do with them all. But then they will stop at the farm market and pick up a jar of jelly or a shortcake and heavy cream to go with it. But the trend in the industry is that the pick per customer has gone down. The trend on our farm is that we're harvesting now the same number of pounds, total number of pounds of berries each year, but to 3 times as many customers. We have more and more people that come from a greater distance and stay for a longer period of time, and so we tried to create a broader point of interest for them. And so we have a small petting area, we have a picnic area, we have a place where they can feed the fish, besides a place where they can cut their own flowers or visit our nursery or visit our market and bakery or stop and see the dairy cows. So we try to become a destination agriculture rather than just a pick your own place. One of the interesting but difficult aspects about pick your own is if you have a field of produce, it's really like stocking the shelves in a store, and you have to have inventory on the store shelf for the public to come. So you're constantly dealing with the shelf life of the product on the plant. A crop like apples, sometimes you have a 2-week window to pick the apples, even though the flavor may be perfect on a smaller window than that. But it's a job always to match the public attendance and pick vis-a-vis what you have in the crop. And there are a lot of ways to manage that. One is to target your advertising. If I see I'm going to have a hot week and I'm right just about before peak in strawberries, I know I have to advertise heavily that week to get the public to come. The other way to do it is not to do any advertising, let the people come when they want to, and then pick what they don't pick, and send that to market or sell it retail at your farm stand. I'm a dairy farmer, and I've been taking care of animals for years, and when we started having public come to the farm, the only way that I could think about it as a farmer was now we just have another kind of animal on the farm. And so when I think of pick your own, there's a part of it that is just grazing, and it's not very different than your dairy pasture. The area closest to where the public comes in gets grazed very heavily, and the area at the far end doesn't get grazed at all. So if you can constantly control where the entrance to the pasture is, then you can pick all the crop. When people come to pick your own at the farm, where they park their car is very important. You can walk a little bit to the crop, but Americans don't like to walk. And if they pick much crop, they really don't want to walk carrying what they picked back to their car. So the length of row, we've gotten so we never plant anything that's more than 280 feet long, and preferably with parking at both ends of that. Information is key, even in the farming business, especially in pick your own. And how you communicate with your customers is something that has to be done very efficiently. We used to do mailings for each crop, and then we did quarterly newsletters, and now we collect email addresses, and by doing that it's much less expensive for us as the farmer, and the information is much better because we can send weekly email bulletins for free. Farming has to work not only for your customers, but it has to work for the farmer as well, and you have to decide what it is you want out of farming. For me, once we went to a situation where we were entirely open to the public, then it's easy to add other things that are public. At the Grieg farm, what we do new each year is what keeps it exciting for me as the farmer.
Well, we're Dave and Chris Colson. We're from Durham, Maine, and we've been farming here in Durham since 1982. I started the farm with my parents in 1982. We started marketing in '83, and we've been marketing chiefly to restaurants and natural food stores ever since then. We're cultivating 12 acres. 3.5 acres are in vegetables, the rest are in green manure rotations for soil fertility.
All of our produce goes off farm. We deliver to the Portland area twice a week, and that makes it easier for us to schedule the rest of the week for harvesting 2 days a week and cultivating, maintaining the fields, the crops. Currently we've got 2 natural food stores and about 5 restaurants that we deliver to. In addition, we've added a couple of food buying clubs or food co-ops to take the place of one very large cooperative natural food store which closed last year.
We started marketing, going to farmers markets back in the early days, and my dad did a lot of the actual farmers market selling. He didn't like sitting at farmers market. He's an active kind of guy, and we found by the end of the market prices were dropping, and we didn't feel like we were getting the price that we needed to get for our vegetables. So my dad knocked on a couple back doors of health food stores and knocked on the door of a couple restaurants that we knew chefs of, and they were all eager to take the produce, and so we have been marketing pretty much to restaurants since then. We felt that for the quality and the type of vegetables that we were growing, which in some ways are probably a little bit unusual for a lot of people, especially when you get originally into the mesclun salad mixes. That what we were looking for was an educated consumer, and we found that the chefs were about as educated a food consumer as we could find. We've noticed that chefs talk to each other. Our names will be passed around, and one of the best ways we've found to pick up restaurant accounts is with the culinary herbs, having fresh culinary herbs. We sometimes will deliver just culinary herbs to a restaurant for a period of time, and then they will suddenly discover that, oh, we're growing lettuce and other things as well. So that's a great way to get your foot in the door. There were a few things that we tried that didn't really work out for us. We tried marketing to some larger outlets, colleges, stores and whatnot, bigger restaurants. We found that when we had to work through a purchasing agent, that they weren't working directly with the food, they didn't see the quality that they were getting, and were basically concerned only with the bottom line. When you work with an owner chef, you have someone that's working with the food, that knows what they're getting for their dollar and is willing to pay for it. Some of the things that we've found to be important in dealing with the chefs particularly, and also with the stores, is to make sure you let them know when you have something available and follow through with the phone calls. Don't wait for them to call you for an order, but take the initiative and have a regular schedule so that they know when you're going to call and that you are going to call. We have regular delivery days so they know exactly when the produce is coming in. And when we agree to deliver something to them, we deliver just that item and in the amount that they asked for. If there is a problem, we can't get something, we've overestimated, then we call them back as soon as possible and let them know what's happening. It's that communication that we found to be the biggest point in our marketing. And over a period of time, when you work with a dozen or so chefs or buyers, you build up a personal relationship with them, and that personal relationship is really what makes the marketing click.
A few years ago, we decided to get a computer for the kids' homework, but realized that we could use an accounting program for the farm. This accounting program not only generates the invoices, but it also keeps track of how many pounds of broccoli, heads of lettuce, etc. we've sold over the season. At the end of the year, we can then look at which crops we benefited from and which crops we need to drop. The other information we can get from this program is which customers bought over our minimum amount, dollars-wise, and then we can plan the next season's customer list based on that program information. I'm not a business person, I'm not an expert in marketing, and I wouldn't even have predicted that I would be in this position in a business. I tend to think of myself more as a creative, artsy person. I guess I'm really a people person too, because it's those contacts I've made over the years that I really value, and I feel that we are loyal to our customers and they are loyal to us.
I'm Paul Harlow from Harlow Farm, Westminster, Vermont, here in the Connecticut River Valley. Also the home of Deep Root Organic Truck Farmers, a marketing cooperative that I'm a member of. I farm about 100 acres of organic vegetables right here in the Connecticut River Valley, some of the richest farmland around. What we've tried to do at Harlow Farm is develop a crop mix that allows us to use our labor efficiently, but also to provide the market with the produce that they need at a certain time of year. We try to combine a mix of fresh vegetables, including lettuce, kale, peppers, cabbages, with storage crops that can be sold long-term, beets and carrots and rutabagas and squash. Harlow Farm has kind of developed a pattern of growing the same 8 to 10 crops every year, figuring that over the course of 10 years that we'll do well, you know, some years and not so well others, and that trying to guess what the marketplace is going to be from year to the next in the produce business is not, it's probably not a wise thing to do. Because of the price pressure for wholesale vegetables, we have to become very efficient, and we really keep an eye on unit costs. Deep Root, I think, is known for its high quality, and we try to constantly upgrade that. Things that we've done in the last few years are we bought a hydrocooler, so now we're hydrocooling all our lettuce and kale so that we provide a good fresh product that stays on the market. Other things that we've done that are somewhat innovative are we stem tag and rubber band identify most all of our products. These all have PLU numbers or things that the market is almost demanding now that they have identification, especially the supermarkets is where the big growth area for organic is. I think the best things for the co-op for me and our farm is that it helps us provide a cohesive marketing plan, and that we get together during the winter and try to grow things that each farm does well, and that we don't overlap. So that, you know, throughout the course of the marketing season, the co-op has a steady supply of the crops that we feel like we need to sell.
My name is Dennis Sauer. I'm a foreman of Harlow Farm, Westminster, Vermont. I've known Paul for a number of years. I was a member with him in the Deep Root Cooperative, and when I decided to quit farming on my own, I went to work for Paul. I was one of the founding members of the co-op. I joined in the second year, so I was part of the process of getting the co-op running, writing the bylaws, and setting up the process for how we marketed and dealt with crop production estimates in the winters. And in the first 5 years were the hardest year for the co-op, and it was a challenge to get the co-op up and running. And a lot of the things that we did in those first few years we're still using today. The main advantages of the co-op, and the reason that we came together as a co-op, was that individually we couldn't address all the needs of our accounts in the metropolitan area. So by combining loads and farmers growing particular crops, we were able to offer a wider range of product and fill trucks in order to get the volume that the buyers needed. And that's still true today. I mean, we can fill trailer loads to go to Maryland, which one farm could never do, but the combined co-op with various different products can fill the trucks. And so every farmer, whether they're a small herb grower or a, you know, one crop farmer, still gets their stuff to our farthest markets. The key to the co-op is cooperation, and which takes a lot of effort on the part of the farmers. You know, meeting in the winter, deciding crop production levels, deciding, you know, who gets to grow what, how much of what based on previous sales, packing conditions, you know, particular items like, you know, quality, who gets rejected, who decides who, you know, what gets rejected. All of these things are things that individual farmers would never have to do on their own. It's pretty much their own decision, whereas in the cooperative you have to honor the wishes of the entire cooperative, and for farmers who tend to be fairly independent, that's sometimes causes problems, you know, to have someone telling them what they can't do. So it's a challenge all the time, but the benefits are that you can get your products into markets that you otherwise wouldn't reach. Well, originally the co-op, all it took to be in the co-op was a commitment of crops and a $100 a year membership fee, but we quickly realized that without an equity investment by the growers, the farmers sort of treated the co-op as when they needed the market, they used it, but when they didn't use it. They went elsewhere. They get a better price, and the co-op also needed equity to buy some equipment and office equipment, pay the managers, and some sort of security. So what happened is now it's required for the growers to own equity shares.
Leonard, Chris, hi. I've got a question for you. Is there any way you can get 20 zucchini by Friday? Well, I'm screwed then, because Kevin wants 20 zucchini for Friday, and I don't have any. No, I don't think there is either. I better call him right now.
Definitely the benefits of the co-op, and I think that, you know, they're not as tangible as the markets, but the growers' involvement with each other, the planning year to year, knowing what each other is going to grow, how they're going to grow it, varieties, talking about, you know, there's a lot of on-farm research, people share information, they share equipment, and also it's just, you know, you avoid the isolation of farming on your own farm. You get to talk to other growers on a regular basis and sort of share the ups and downs, which is a valuable experience for a lot of farmers, especially you know, in a market that's really price driven and, you know, downward price driven. So it's helpful to have other people that are in the same pressures that you are. And in the wintertime, it's nice for the growers to get together, and I think a lot of them enjoy the process.